7hz has always been a company that has fascinated me. They are one of those companies that dares to be quite different in terms of design language and somehow making it work. That's right, I'm looking at you, the Timeless. It honestly looks like it's not supposed to fit in your ears, but somehow it just does. So today we are taking a look at the brand new 7hz Legato, which is extremely fresh. Legato in music basically means in a manner where it is smooth and connected. Will the 7hz Legato sound like that? And of course, to kick things off, we will start off with an unboxing today. The Legato comes in a box that does not, I repeat, does not have a waifu. Finally, enough of those waifus. Counting all the boxes that I have a waifu on them, I can easily say that I have quite a harem already. So it does showcase a nice rendering of the IM on the front, while the back shows an exploded view of all the goodies and case in the chassis. Opening the box reveals yet another box. This time round, it's an oversized earphone carrying case that has a faux redwood grain pattern on it. Quite nice, but I think it's a little bit too big for day-to-day practical use. I mean, if you have a small bag for your daily carry, this will certainly take up most of the space inside it. Unzipping it reveals two different types of ear tips with different ball size openings. Quality of these ear tips are quite decent. The ear tips has a dome that feels rather substantial rather than those ultra thin nonsense that comes with ear tips provided by the competition. Also, 7hz has provided some filters in case you have gunky ears that can clog these filters up quite easily. So you can just change them at will, don't really have to worry about that. Of course, next in the box will be the highlight themselves, the Legato. Now the Legato has an anodized aluminum chassis that is intricately machined. Personally, I'm always a fan of metal chassis as it is more acoustically resonant compared to resin builds. The chassis has a pretty nice gunmetal grey colour. There is also a subtle Legato logo near the 2-pin socket as well. The 2-pin cable provided here is one that I really like. It is neatly braided and honestly feels quite supple in the hands. As such, migraine-inducing microphonics has been reduced significantly. The cable is terminated to 3.5mm as well. The neck choker though is a little too tight, that's what he said, to slide it easily to your desired height. Overall, I must say that I am quite impressed by the build of the Legato. Very solid feeling and thus suggests that it can last a rather decent duration of time. Inside the chassis is where things get rather interesting. The Legato features a dual dynamic driver design. So the Legato employs a 6mm and 12mm dynamic driver inside the chassis for those of you who care about size. The fit of the Legato, it's really comfortable with no stress points on my ears. I also enjoy the cable for the suppleness and lack of microphonics. The chassis themselves are not too big and should be able to fit most ears quite well. Sound quality, and here is where it gets interesting. The Legato does not have the usual neutral warm harmen-esque signature that most earphones tend to have these days. Like the Timeless before, which features a quirky chassis, the Legato here does it sonically instead. So before I go more into sound, please kindly press the like and subscribe button if you like the content so far. Every like and subscribe will make me feel a bit more motivated to do more of these. And with that, let's get on with the review. These are bass prominent earphones. Yes, chunky bass. For those people who like a neutral warm signature, don't run for the hills just yet. I do think that the Legato is a very competent bass for IM that has surprising technicalities for the DNA it places itself in. I did an initial comparison between pre-burn-in and post-burn-in, and these to me does benefit from that. So if you're getting a pair, I suggest to let them just run for about a day prior to seriously listening. It really smoothens the performance. So here's the thing, right? Every time I mention burn-in, there will be someone who will just say this, dude, you're crazy. I mean, no one's forcing you to burn them in if you don't want to, so yeah, do whatever you want. It's free anyway, so if it's free performance, why not, right? But for those of you who cannot live without a graph, I have one here so you can actually see that this certainly has some bass. So moving on to bass, the rumbles on the Legato is very satisfying. 7hz has done in a way where it is quite enjoyable for quite a large variety of people despite it being obviously in large quantities. Bass here is honestly quite chunky. Sub-bass extends low with great gravitas when it comes to rumble. What I like about it is the bass resonance is quite prominent and lends for a realistic live concert bass sound. Mid-bass has good kick that coalesces with the sub-bass really well. It gives good shape and texture to the sub-bass. Texture is really quite good here as well. Uncharacteristically, transients on the legato is good, which I cannot say the same for other bass-dominant earphones. It's not as fast as those seen in the classic diffuse, feel-esque sound, but it has significant speed that has an added satisfying bass resonance that I think for people who can enjoy bass, they can certainly appreciate that. Moving on to mid-range, you might think that the mid-range can be a little bit problematic with large decibels or bass frequencies. But fret not, as there isn't much bass bleed into the mid-range, so do not worry. Your vocals still sound like human voices rather than fishes underwater. Mid-range has uncharacteristically good clarity. For a bass-dominant earphone, it has a sweet character that plays off well with good dynamics that the bass lays. It leans just a hair warmth. Instruments are pretty well defined here as well. They don't really get drowned out by the sheer volume of bass. Resonance here is also pretty well portrayed. Overall, quite a satisfying listen. Treble extension. So treble extension, it's well defined. I wouldn't say that the legato oozes air as much of the space is pretty much filled out by bass, but that isn't to say that the legato has no clarity. I actually feel that for its style, it has pretty good clarity, giving good edge to the mid-range rather than that of just a smeary mess. It does allow the legato to provide a good amount of micro detail. Crashes and cymbals have enough bite, but never overstays its welcome. A good smooth listening experience with enough bite. Soundstage. With regards to width and height, I must say that the legato is pretty decent. This is due to the good range of dynamics that this earphone exhibits. I would say they are more likened to that of a medium-sized jazz club. With regards to depth and positioning, depth suffers a bit as the level of bass can be a little bit too much, which compresses depth a little bit. Positioning wise, it's still pretty on point from the good treble response. So moving on to comparisons, and one of the earphones that I recently listened to is the Truthear's Hexa. I think that the Hexa is the antithesis of the legato. The Hexa is an unapologetically neutral IEM that has a slight bump in sub-bass, while the legato has chunky bass with a warmish tone. I do feel that the Hexa is less exciting to listen to due to the lack of dynamics as compared to the legato. The legato is for sure the more fun sounding of the two if personified. It would be probably like the girl that likes to go clubbing, while the Hexa is probably the library going stereotype. Both renders detail and resolution in quite a similar manner. The Hexa soundstage is smaller but has a little bit more depth, while the legato has an overall larger soundstage with a bit more compression in depth. Versus the Tangzu Zetian, the legato literally runs circles around the Zetian. Yes, the Zetian has a large amount of bass pumped out from its planar driver, but it is just lacking in resolution, which the legato does so well. The build on the legatos with its aluminium chassis can really and literally smash the Zetian's Vision Years inspired chassis to bits. These two IEMs are very comparable, but as I mentioned, the legatos would perform better at a better price point as well. And finally, in conclusion, I really enjoyed the legatos quite a bit. I do think that they do certainly live up to its namesake, being smooth and connected. It is a rather smooth and easy listen. If you're coming from a standard neutral warm IEM such as the Moondrop Arias, the Truthear Holer, or the Tangzu Warner, I think that these will be a good and easy alternative signature to explore. But expect some difference from what you're used to and enjoy the mind-boggling bass. I do not have much to complain on the legatos, but if I really want to nitpick, perhaps they could provide a smaller case to keep the IEMs. The stock ones are way too big and take too much back real estate, but the IEM themselves are pretty darn fine. And with that said, thank you guys for watching the Super Chong Super Audio Show. I hope you like the content so far on the 7hz Legato. It's been fun listening to them. And I hope you get your chance to listen to one soon. And with that said, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys soon.